with the Center for Michigan Jewish Heritage, and we're here for another out-of-the-box Bisel of history. We're here at Elmwood Cemetery in Detroit. According to the Detroit Historical Society, Elmwood is the oldest continuously operating non-denominational cemetery in the state of Michigan, and it has over 86 acres. Not only is the cemetery a historic place, but the Bloody Run Creek that runs beside it is also named for, well, you can hear it in the name, an uprising from 1783 between Chief Pontiac and the British, resulting in many deaths. The cemetery was redesigned by none other than Frederick Law Olmsted, who was famous here in Detroit for the design of the beloved Belle Isle. And there is truly a sense of tranquility here in the park. Many famous, influential Detroiters are buried here at Elmwood. But let's start here with the grounds and talk about Jewish Detroit's connection. Bethel was formed in September of 1850, and not long after, it did what many early Jewish communities do. They bought land for burial ground. They purchased this lot, which was then called the Champaign Street Cemetery, now called Lafayette, within this historic Elmwood Cemetery. Back in 2014, my wonderful predecessor, Jan Durecki, took the time to visit and photograph all of these headstones and then research the people who are buried here. You can already see that many of the headstones are difficult to read, so her work in collecting the data was very valuable. Many early Jewish Detroiters are buried here in the Lafayette Cemetery, including Babette and Emanuel Schloss. This is where Rabbi Samuel Marcus is buried, and he was the first rabbi of Temple Beth. But as you can see, the years were only 1850 to 1854. Rabbi Samuel Marcus died just a few years after coming to Temple Beth in the cholera epidemic. One of the families that Jan had highlighted that also caught my eye while visiting was Marcus and Babette Cohen. One reason it catches the eye is, well, these very large markers. It's kind of hard to miss, and it still provides some visible verbiage. Starting with Marcus Cohen. He was one of the founding members of Temple Beth, and according to a Free Press article about his funeral, we learned that his was the first service ever done in the temple itself, which was located at Washington and Clifford. Because at the time, it was still custom to perform a funeral service in someone's home. They claimed it was the first such service ever to take place in the state of Michigan in a synagogue. And it was said that before Bethel hired an official rabbi, Cohen was the one who performed all the services and then was credited with convincing Rabbi Samuel Marcus, the first Bethel rabbi, to come to Detroit and serve this community. He married Babette Hirschman. Her family had already been residing in Detroit by the 1840s. The two are a perfect example of early Jewish Detroiters that settled here and worked to create a community for Jews in the city, and their efforts spurred success for generations to come to then build upon. You can see here, there's actually a historical marker from the state of Michigan naming this as Michigan's oldest Jewish cemetery. Like we said, it's been in existence and dedicated since the 1850s and was in use for about 100 years until the 1950s today. When the congregation later bought the section in Woodmere, which we'll visit in another segment, some of the families chose to remove their loved ones from Lafayette to bring them over to Woodmere. But, of course, most of them remained here.